Have you been thinking about making the move to Phoenix, Arizona, and you need to know some of the major things you should consider prior to making the move? If that's something that you need to know, go ahead and keep on watching. Welcome back to Phoenix Living. I'm Nicole Baker. Today we are going over exactly that, but before we get started, you guys know the drill. I have to let you guys know I'm a licensed realtor here in this beautiful state, so if you've been interested in relocating, go ahead and reach out. My number and email are popping up, and we will go way more into depth in our Zoom calls than I do in this video. But if you're not quite ready to reach out yet, no problem, understand that. Go ahead and subscribe because I'm going to be posting videos all about the relocation process and the different areas you can live and the pros and cons and literally everything possible about the Phoenix Metro. So go ahead, like I said, subscribe. Those videos are posted every Monday and Thursday at 5 p.m. But let's get started in today's video. One of those things that I think is super, super important and not a lot of people talk about is what are your plans for your life, right? Like, where do you see you and your family in the next 5 years? I think before moving to a new state, that's something that you should definitely consider. There's pros and cons to moving. Like I say in a lot of my videos, I moved to Denver. I do not regret it one bit, but if I think about it, did I see myself here in 5 years? I really did not see myself moving back to Arizona ever, but then I actually started thinking, because I'm still learning my life and I'm just a human, so I thought further in what I really wanted to see in my future, and it really did end up landing me back in Arizona. And a huge reason for that is, one, for me, family, but also affordability. Affordability is a huge component in so many people's lives when they're thinking about the next 5 to 10 years even, because they're considering so many different variables. Whether you're considering retirement, whether you're considering starting a family, those two things have a lot to do with income and how much your life in general is affordable, right? So like, a lot of people that are retiring are on fixed incomes. When it comes to living in Arizona, it might be 10 times more affordable than it is in whatever state you're living in, right? So that's like the perfect scenario for you. Or you're retiring and you don't see yourself being able to live in the climate that you're living in right now, right? So like, either it's snowing and you just can't handle the snow anymore. It snows and you don't feel comfortable having to shovel, drive to doctor's appointments, whatever the case may be, you just don't feel comfortable in that type of climate anymore and you want to move to Arizona. So many of you guys are reaching out to me that are starting families. That's super exciting, and one of the reasons why I also moved back to Arizona is because I plan to do that, and my family lives here and it's more affordable than living in Denver, right? So depending on where you guys are moving from, the affordability may or may not be a factor. It's just something that I hear quite a bit. So my 5-year plan, definitely I saw myself moving back to Phoenix. It doesn't mean I'm gonna live here forever. I probably will, but I'm saying in the regards for you guys, something I think really want to consider is like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? If you see yourself with a family in the next 5 years, do you want to plant roots somewhere where it's more affordable? Do you want to move here because you really see yourself working in the career field that you want and there's a lot of job opportunity here? There's so many different factors that you really need to consider that I feel like people are just thinking about the now, which maybe that's beneficial to some of you guys. I could totally see that. There's an amazing experience to be had here. Whether you live here for 2 years, 3 years, 20 years, you don't have to live here forever, but I would just say make sure you have a solid plan on what you want your life to look like when you get here and what are the benefits of moving here, because sometimes it's not as beneficial as we think to move to a new state. Of course, another major component when you guys are thinking about moving and what you need to know prior to making the move is an idea of what you see your life looking like here when it comes to location, job. Those are huge components, right? Because most of the time you guys don't always have your place picked out that you're looking for when you move here. You kind of have an idea, but you still need some guidance. Again, that's what we go over in the Zoom calls. The Zoom calls, I swear, they will bring new life into you. It'll make your life so much easier, and you are probably going to hate me because they are quite long and in depth. But you'll leave the meeting hopefully feeling like you can do way more research than you ever could before because you now have the tools in place to do that. But again, if you guys aren't ready to reach out, totally understand that. Some people are watching these videos a year before they're even making the move. I would suggest reaching out probably close to that 3-month mark. Even if you want to reach out 6 months, even if you want to reach out a year, I'm down to do these whenever. I don't have a timeline, right? But I think that the bare minimum time that you need in order to really make this move and be able to sit down, do the Zoom calls, feel really not rushed in the move is probably about 3 months. I've helped people who've reached out a month before they had to move. I've done it all. It's just, I think, better if you can do it 3 months prior and make sure that we have a game plan. I'm a big time planner. You guys can leave the comments down below. I'm assuming a lot of you guys are planners if you're watching these videos in advance. Before I made the move to Denver, I watched so many different YouTube videos and was probably doing that months, and it honestly got me excited to make the move too. But the whole point is we want to make sure that we're picking out the location or a few locations, preferably, maybe like 3 different areas that you're willing to work with when it comes to housing. And I'm setting you guys up on a search that you can see the different housing options, and that way you can favorite these options and I can see what you guys like. And that way, whenever you finally do get in person or you're ready to actually make the move and you want to do virtual tours or whatever the case is, we already have an understanding of what to look for in a home for you guys, because not only are you guys sending me options, but I'm sending you options, and I don't want to send you homes in Scottsdale if you're looking to be in Goodyear, or I don't want to send you options in Buckeye if you're working in Surprise, because that might just be too far for you, right? So there's so many different variables, but I think honing in maybe to your top 3 options when it comes to location prior to making the move is super important. Another huge component for so many people are schools. If schools are really important to you and you want your kid to be in a certain school district, or you want your kid to be close to this charter school that you're going to plan on going to, or whatever it is, you want to be close to your work. Again, all of these things factor into where you're going to be looking, and it'll be easier for you to research once you have your top 3 locations picked out. Another super important thing when it comes to location is knowing what you and whoever you're living with, whoever you're purchasing with, your family, what you guys like to do on the weekends, what you guys like to do for fun. Are you homebodies like me? I never leave my house pretty much. So the most important thing to me is getting a good bang for my buck and being close to my family. So everyone is going to have different reasons for picking specific locations, right? So like some of you guys are going to be moving here and you really enjoy spring training games. So maybe some locations are going to be in Goodyear. Some of your locations are going to be in Glendale. Some of you guys want to go to the Cardinal Stadium a lot, or you want to be close to shopping because you enjoy shopping a lot, right? All of these locations are super important. And the other thing for me is I have to be close to a Starbucks. You guys know that. I'm obsessed with Starbucks. If I don't have a Starbucks within probably 5 minutes of my personal home, it wouldn't work for me. But you guys all have your things. I've heard people say Target. I've heard people say Home Goods. I've heard people say they don't care about that. They want to be within 25 minutes of a grocery store. And I'm like, 25 minutes? That's far. But depending on where you guys are coming from, you all are living in super different locations. So some of you guys are 45 minutes away from your closest gas station right now or grocery store right now, and you're looking to be a little bit closer. So I think all of these things are super important when picking a location for wherever you're gonna live, and that'll also help narrow down your top 3 picks. jobs, what are you going to do in order to afford the housing that you decide to choose, right? So I think jobs is something that you should definitely be doing before you're even probably looking at locations, because your job location might affect your housing location, of course. Lots of you guys luckily get to work from home and you can pretty much live anywhere in the United States, which is awesome. But lots of you guys are leaving your current job to move to Arizona and potentially getting a new job. So these are all factors that you want to consider. And then also, before just quitting your job in whatever state you're coming from and getting a new job in Arizona, you want to consider how, if you plan to purchase a home, what that income situation is going to look like. Because really, when lenders are looking at how you're going to qualify to purchase a home, if that's the route that you guys decide to take, we'll talk more about picking your options when it comes to housing next. But we want to make sure that we're in the same job field, because that could potentially affect your qualifications for getting a loan if that's the way that you decide to purchase, right? So when it comes to lenders, I have different lending options that you guys can use. You're not required to use anyone that I pick. I just have some amazing lenders that I've worked with throughout the Valley who I trust wholeheartedly. So I like them, but you guys, again, whoever's going to give you the best rate, whoever's going to give you the best fees, and whoever's going to give you the best communication, because communication is key when it comes to making the move to Arizona and purchasing a home in general, because without communication, it's just going to go sideways. I will talk to you guys all about how to pick people to work with when we go over Zoom calls as well. But if you guys have questions on how do I get qualified, what are the rules, what kind of information do you need, you guys can feel free to reach out to me and I will get you the information that you need for that as well. But we want to make sure that you're picking a job that's going to make sense if you're planning on purchasing, because again, we want to make sure that you still qualify. And even when it comes to renting, I don't handle rentals, but you might have to probably 90% of the time, you're going to need to show some sort of income verification. So again, all of these variables, but making sure that you're picking a job and making sure that there's room for your job in this market. Not everyone is going to be able to move here and be able to get a job in their field, right? So for example, tech is super big here, but tech might be a little bit harder to find a job right now, just from what I've heard. Or if you're in construction, or if you're anything that has to do with construction at all. So whether it be commercial, whether it be in residential, we're growing so much here. So there's plenty of room for that kind of stuff. Again, tech, lots of tech out here, but again, I don't know how the tech situation is right now. Some people are getting laid off. I don't know if that's state specific, but do your research is the whole point, right? Make sure you find a job because we want to make sure you can move here and be able to hopefully be able to live here and live comfortably. Next thing you are 1000% needing to think about prior to making the move is whether or not you're going to purchase a home or you're going to rent a home. For some of you, renting is the only option. For some of you, you guys are debating between renting or buying. And I would like to say it depends on your situation, right? So there's so many different variables when it comes to real estate. Some people, it's just plain and simple not going to make sense for you to purchase right now based off of your budget, or based off of how long you're gonna stay here, or based off of your knowledge of Arizona, right? Like, how comfortable are you with purchasing a home that you may have never been to the state? It's all super, super dependent on you as the person. So what I do is I also, if you guys are thinking about renting versus buying, I will go over the pros and cons to both, and I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't want you to purchase a home and be house poor. I don't want you to regret your decision to buy a house here in Arizona. So again, I don't help with rentals, but we can definitely discuss both options. What are the pros and cons to both? If you are deciding to rent before you buy, that's another really big thing that I hear a lot of the time when it comes to my clients is, okay, we're gonna rent and then we're gonna purchase in Arizona. Some things to keep in mind is, are you going to be renting for a year? Are you going to be renting for 3 months, 6 months? Are you going to get an Airbnb for a month while you look for a home because you rather see houses in person? I've had clients do all of the above. I really think that it's beneficial if you're able to, if you haven't ever been here before, right? Like you have no idea what's gonna go down. I'm able to give my clients a pretty good vibe for what they're looking for in a neighborhood, and we're able to narrow it down. But sometimes people are just simply not comfortable with purchasing in a place that they've never been before. Absolutely understand that. So what I think is the best, if you can, because the market is at a really good point where if it's in your budget, there's a lot of good deals right now, so I wouldn't want you guys to necessarily miss out on a deal for a year lease. A year is a very long time. The market could completely shift and houses could be skyrocketing again and interest rates could be low, but there's cons to that. If you guys want me to go over a whole market update, I think maybe those are a little bit boring for a lot of people. I do go over, like I said, the pros and cons of renting versus buying and what it could look like by the time that you guys are purchasing. But if the interest rates drop, for a quick little short example of what could happen, then the housing market could boom again. We're still definitely in a very, very low supply here in Arizona. We would probably need, I don't know, 20 to 30,000 homes in the market, and we have about 10,000 homes on the market. 20 to 30,000 homes would be like a balanced market. So there would still not be a buyer's market, which a lot of people are waiting for. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but point being is if interest rates go down, the demand for housing will go up and millions of people will be entering into the marketplace, which could cause you to be in a situation that lots of people trying to purchase 2 years ago were in, where there's, you know, crazy battles of like bidding battles where people are paying $60,000, $100,000 cash over the actual value of the home. I don't want that to happen. I do want interest rates to get lower for the sake of myself and for other people that want to purchase and move and all that things, but there's definitely going to be some things that are going to be negative about interest rates dropping. That's why I say if you guys can buy now and it's in the budget, don't get the year lease, because you could always buy now and refi later. That's definitely, in my opinion, the best route to take if you can. But either way, you need to narrow down whether or not you're going to rent for a year, 3 months, 6 months, a couple weeks while you find the place that you love, or if you're going to purchase right off the bat. I will walk you guys through the process of whatever route that you take. Again, I don't help with rentals, but I can help you guys I can give you some information, definitely. I can give you guys a guide on what to look for when it comes to rentals and some of the requirements. So feel free to reach out to me to ask those questions. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, pretty please hit the thumbs up button. It really helps out my channel and pushes my videos to more people like you. And if you guys have questions and you need help on relocating, go ahead and reach out. My number and email are popping up. I would love to assist you. I know the process is scary. I know there's a lot of different factors that come into it. I have relocated myself. I understand the process and it's a lot, but we are going to get through it, and we're going to try and make it as simple as we possibly can with the least amount of stress as possible. That is my goal for everyone. If you're not quite ready to reach out yet, no problem. Go ahead, subscribe. I post videos every Monday and Thursday at 5 p.m. all about the relocation process. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.